All right, all right. We're getting ready for our semifinals. As you can see, everyone is excited. Everyone in the production room is getting excited as well. And both our players are already standing on stage. So the map veto process is coming up soon. And you know, with the PvZ, I think the map vetoes are going to be pretty important. And especially because we still don't know that much about Pigbaby. What is he going to veto? Will it matter? Because he is, I think, even though he played very straight up against Teja, I still see him as a kind of a tricky Protoss, especially in PvZ.
Yeah, so as it's a best of 5, each player only getting 1 veto here. What do you think? Quick, before
I think
HyuN veto.
Pigbaby vetoes Waystation and HyuN, Alterzim. No, not Alterzim. Yeah.
3, 2.
Okay. HyuN is going to veto.
Come on, you gotta see something.
Altazim, I think. Yeah.
All right. All right.
Well, yeah, I think he wouldn't like playing Altazim because Pigbaby has shown us in one of his. It's King Sejong. Well, okay.
All right. What do you think the reasoning for that is? What's kind of like?
It can be kind of tricky to scout everything. Like it's not impossible to hide something early on, and HyuN loves Overgrowth. Now that is a surprising veto because that's a very common map, and I think in general a map that a lot of Protoss players don't mind that much. You can say yes, your third base is going to be relatively exposed, which could be tricky against HyuN because he is the type of Zerg that loves making a lot of Zerglings and Roaches, and perhaps switch into Mutalisk when you don't expect it anymore.
Yep.
Why HyuN vetoes King Sejong, I'm not 100% sure about it. I do know that he lost the map pretty badly against Alicia earlier this season, but other than that, I'm a little bit surprised. And Merry-Go-Round as first map choice, that's also pretty surprising.
Yeah, it definitely... Sometimes it feels like the map order doesn't matter. You're like, well, it's a best of 5, we're going to play all the maps if it goes that long. But it can give you some tempo. It's important for the mental state of both players. If you can open the series with an easy win or a decisive victory, that can help set up the rest of the series, and you can see players kind of falter after 1 or 2 early losses.
Yeah, this is a really interesting map, especially the map order, with Frost being the most normal map out there, being chosen last, so that will only be played if necessary, of course, if we end up having a 2-2 all-tied series. With Merry-Go-Round as first map, that's kind of cool, because we saw Pigbaby play this map against Jigua, and Jigua opened up with a speed build, which is something that HyuN not necessarily always does, but Pigbaby just kept wiping in so many Zealots that even though Jigua was eventually able to defend it, he was down like 12 workers because he was forced to produce so many Zerglings. I'm sure that HyuN, even though, like you said, he only had a day to repair, but it's not hard to type in the games at YouTube and just go over them real quickly. You know, like, what did he do again? Okay, that's what he did. So Pigbaby is going to have to do something different. I do know that he loves his certain 2-base pushes, and I kind of feel that we could very well see maybe some Immortal Sentry on this map.
Yeah, and walking around the studio these last day or two, I've definitely seen both players every player still in the tournament, spending a lot of time on their computer, looking at videos of their opponents, trying to get as much information as they can so that when they go into this match, they can make the most educated guesses that they can, because that's what the StarCraft openings are all about. A calculated, educated guess, trying to get whatever little edge you can based on your opponent's tendencies.
Yeah, especially in PvZ, that's so extremely important. Of course, Zerg play is all about being greedy and trying to get away with as much greed as possible in certain phases in the game. Pigbaby, not a guy that you want to necessarily be too greedy against, because he already showed that he can punish that when he played against Revive in the round of 32, when he played against Jigua in the round of 16. And HyuN, you know, he was joking a little bit backstage as well when I was sitting next to him. I was like, HyuN, who do you think is going to win between Hard and Bomber? And he's like, doesn't matter, because this Protoss, he's going to win it all. And then Pigbaby's like, no, Zerg. You know, even though HyuN often mentions that he doesn't like playing against Protoss, last season he won WCS America Season 1 off the back of his PvZ, defeating a Protoss in the semifinals, Alicia, and defeating Alz in the finals. So it can't really be all that bad. Maybe a little bit of hashtag mind games.
Yeah, I think at some point a little bit of the complaints that some of the pros make about racial stuff is more just you need something to say.
Yeah, exactly.
So why not blame Protoss? Why not blame Zerg? But it's
actually really sad. Us Protoss players do have a tough life.
Well, it's about time.
As you guys can see, HyuN is almost ready for his PvZ. It's of course been a phenomenal run for this guy. 2013 was a year with a lot of ups, but also a lot of downs for him. And it's remarkable to see how strong he bounced back in 2014, winning WCS America Season 1. That was the biggest victory out of his career. And now, of course, he's still on track to do the same thing as Paul did last year. And that is getting back-to-back championships, which would be incredibly impressive.
Roach King. I like that. Yeah. It's very, very suiting for HyuN. He's one of those players that I feel like he kind of innovated the roaches, especially against Terran for a long amount of time. Did a lot of those roach-heavy styles.
Yeah, definitely. He was a lot of fun to cast even last year when, you know, you had maps like Newkirk Precinct where often people prefer like rather passive playstyles. Then you had HyuN running around with like 110 Zerglings, 60 Banelings and a bunch of roaches, and he just kept throwing army after army after the Terran plays that he was playing. Because back then, you know, last year, despite being a very good year result-wise for HyuN, he had a lot of trouble within WCS, and he actually didn't make it to BlizzCon because WCS was like the only competition he didn't go very far in. He started off in Korea, then he made the switch, but he switched too late, so he had to miss out on one season. And the only time he actually participated was WCS America Season 3. He bumped out in the round of 16, which was a big loss for him, because if he made it to the round of 8, he would have made it to BlizzCon. And so this year he said, you know what, I should get some more WCS points in WCS.
Well, sitting at rank number 2 right now, HyuN set for BlizzCon pretty much no matter what, but Pigbaby has a lot to prove here. At rank 68, he's got a long way to go if he wants to make it to BlizzCon.
Yes, he does, but there are so many WCS points on the line. If he ends up winning it, and he's pretty damn close, even if he just ends up winning this series, he guarantees himself of 1,000 WCS points. If he wins the entire season, he gets 2,000 points. And well, with 2,000 points, you're solidly high up in that ranking, or at least very, very high up. Yep. Probably close to top 60, maybe even breaking into it. So anything is still possible for him. He knows that as well. He knows that this is probably the biggest series that this guy has played in his career, by far even, I would say.
I think that's 100% true, and as a Kespa player, his opportunities to participate in abroad tournaments it's a little more limited. We don't see the Kespa players traveling as much, and so if Pigbaby doesn't quite make it here, he may not really get another chance to get those points back that he needs. A player like HyuN attending almost every international tournament, so many opportunities to win points, and HyuN just competing and playing so well at so many events.
Yeah, and of course he already has all those points of Season 1. That definitely helps. Like you said, HyuN, one of the highest ranked players in the world. He's been an absolute monster, but he definitely has his work cut out for him. If he wants to keep being the champion of WCS America, he's going to have to defeat Pigbaby in this best-of-5, the semifinals of WCS America Premier League Season 2. Both players are going over the map list one more time in the lobby, as Merry-Go-Round is still going to be our first map. And what is Pigbaby going to do? Is he going to surprise us? Is it going to be strong 2-base? Going up to 3 bases as a Protoss, like just straight up with a passive style, is very, very difficult to pull off on this map, as the areas around it are so extremely wide open. There are so many paths that Zerg can attack you. And especially, I feel then you were just playing right into HyuN's hand. Because you said already as well, HyuN loves being aggressive.
Yeah, and based on what we saw from Pigbaby yesterday against Tasia, he seems to be favoring a slightly safer style, at least against Terran. Hard to say exactly, maybe he's changed his style up a little bit against Zerg, or if he's just got a different style for each matchup. Against Terran, he plays a little more passive, makes a lot of observers.
I think you guys are going to have to cheer for a different unit, though, because I'd be very shocked if he opens with 7 observers once more.
But I think you guys need to cheer for something. No, we refuse. We will not cheer for other units. I support you.
Maybe the Sentry would be a safer pick in this matchup. We're going to see a lot of those.
I don't know, man. I'm liking the Observer.
I'm loving the Observer, too. In the finals, maybe, if Pigbaby goes all the way.
It's got a certain irony to it that I really enjoy. Like the Observer, probably one of the most underrated units in the game.
Yeah, it's really, imagine like what would happen to this world if he decides to research Observer speed. I don't think this studio is ready for that.
No, I don't think
They're going to break down the stands. They're going to be like, oh my god, Observers 2.0. It's happening. Anyways, you guys can see we are loaded into the very first map of this semi-final, the second semi-final of WCS America Season 2. And over here on the left top side of the map, the man that you guys love for his love of observers. Give it up for Pigbaby.
And in the bottom middle of the map, the Zerg player decisively defeating Colt in the last round. He is Unbelievable!
Interesting spawning locations on merry-go-round. If Pigbaby would have loved to go for a 2-base attack, I think it would have been a lot nicer for him if HyuN would have spawned at the right top, or he would have been the player that spawns in the bottom side, and HyuN would have been the one spawning at the left top side. It's a little more tricky because now HyuN has the option to just expand as far away from Pigbaby as possible. This doesn't have to stop him from anything, though. You know, if you really want to go 2-base, then it's 2-base or die trying. Yeah. But it's a little bit unfortunate for him. Especially because, once more, this is such a tough map to go up to 3 bases as a Protoss player.
We do see Pigbaby opening with that fast gateway, so not a Nexus, Expand, or a fast Forge. And an early gas here, no scout yet. Meanwhile, HyuN actually going for a hatch first, which on a 3 or 4 player map is perhaps a little less risky. On a 2-player map, that ever-looming threat of a cannon rush is always in the back of the Zerg's mind. On this map, oh, and HyuN's actually playing very safe here. He's going to take that drone, and he's just going to patrol at the top of the ramp. He's going to make sure there's no shenanigans.
What HyuN often does, if he goes hatch first, and then he also scouts with a drone, and then if the drone sees that he's not playing against a Forge, then he will send that drone back, and that drone morphs into an additional hatchery. So it's a very safe way of going 3 hatch before pool. This is a 3-player map, not a 2-player map, so he doesn't want to send his drone out just yet. But this Overlord will find the base of Pigbaby on the left top side of the map, and he decides to go for a double hatch before pool, but he makes the hatchery a lot closer to Pigbaby, and in my opinion now he's already giving Pigbaby an open invitation to go for some serious 2-base pressure.
And this is all done with no scouting information at all. Definitely a gamble from HyuN here, expecting or hoping that his opponent didn't make early units, and it looks like it's going okay for him. Pigbaby not scouted yet, and so he doesn't know to send the Zealot immediately across the map. The spawning pool from HyuN only about 25 seconds in.
I wouldn't be surprised at all, because Pigbaby is still on 1 gas. If he goes 1 gate Nexus and he wipes in 3 more gateways, and he starts putting on some serious pressure with that. I mean, like, running your first 2 Zealots across the map is not fantastic. This Probe Scout, however, is fantastic for Pigbaby. And, you know, now the ball is in his corner. He can decide to deal with this in whatever way he wants, but maybe 2 gateways in the front and 1 in the back is an excellent decision.
Yep, and now the Mothership Core has finished warping in. Doesn't have enough gas for a Sentry, and he has not started a Stalker yet. Not quite sure what he's going to do with his gas at the moment here, and he hasn't actually started any extra gateways, so we're still waiting to see.
He's chrono boosting warp gate technology, and that's already a little bit of a tell. It's really important that HyuN is lurking around with his Overlord, and HyuN's Overlord in the main base has vision of this second assimilator, and that is really important. There we see the 3 extra gateways being warped in. You know, I don't blame Pigbaby for this at all. I think this is an excellent decision. We see 2 extractors go down immediately for HyuN, and this is way quicker than you normally see them go down after a 3 hatch before pool opening. HyuN is also aware of this, like, hey, if this guy wipes in a bunch of Zealots, then follows it up with 4 or 5 Stalkers, I can never push that back with slow links, so I need something else. And he gets the extractors, and he's gonna go for Roaches. But even Roaches are gonna have a very, very hard time dealing with Stalkers off creep, because these Roaches, of course, will not be speed Roaches.
Right, and the Overlord now sees the pylon. HyuN can basically assume what this is. He sees no second gas still. He's not seeing no units have tried to buffer or to take that Overlord out. HyuN now using his Zerglings to try and get a little bit more information here. And he's just trying to buy himself a little bit more time. The Roach Warren just finished, and he'll be able to start making Roaches now.
I'm really worried. I'm curious to see if Pigbaby decides to warp in 4 Zealots at first. Now that is rather interesting, because against these Roaches, that's actually the wrong choice. It really would have been so much better for him to open up with Stalkers, in my opinion. Even though there was a Creep Tumor that went down, and that 1 Creep Tumor is already extremely important for HyuN, the one on the left side of the hatchery. I actually think that HyuN is going to be able to deal with this. Pigbaby is doing the same thing as Hawk once did. Hawk was able to get the hatchery, which I was really surprised by, and I'd be also very, very surprised if Pigbaby gets the hatchery this time, because there's going to be so many Roaches. In a straight-up fight, Pigbaby cannot win. He can't really kill the hatch either. I think he's aware of it. I think he's, well, he wipes in 3 more Zealots.
Yeah, this is really risky.
This is bizarre. This is really bizarre.
I think he's going to... He's going to commit to this? He really cannot take this fight.
No, he can't fight it, and he can't kill the hatchery.
This is a bit of a desperation move here from Pigbaby, but HyuN actually stops microing his queens in order to sacrifice them. Sacrifice 2 queen to get the Mothership Core. The Zealot's doing some work on the Roaches, but the Roaches are going to be able to overcome this force. On creep, the Roaches with a significant movement speed advantage over the Zealots, and he's able to push Pigbaby back.
Yeah, great hold there by HyuN, doing whatever was necessary. Definitely making the right amount of units. Also going back to drones immediately after he's like, hey, I have enough roaches to deal with this. I must say that was questionable execution by Pigbaby. Warping in the first set of Zealots, okay, but I think it would have been much more important for him to prioritize trying to make sure no creep tumor goes down. That was a little bit tricky because there were 3 queens there, but I still think, you know, Protoss plays this good, can take care of that. And after that, if he starts warping in Stalkers off creep, they're going to have the time of their life against slow roaches. But HyuN, being on top of what he has to do, dealt with that very well. And for Pigbaby, I feel there's almost no choice right now other than a very strong 2-base follow-up, because the only thing that he can take away from that phase in the game is like, hey, I slowed his economy down quite a bit.
Right. Well, he forced a lot of roaches, early gases, and so HyuN's drone count is pretty low right now. A couple Zealots go into HyuN's natural, try and do a bit of damage here. Didn't really kill very much. The one thing about these positions right now is the distance from Pigbaby's natural to HyuN's third is like 2 screens.
Yeah, it's extremely close, because I mean, that's why HyuN got a little bit unfortunate. He decided to go up to 3 bases there. We see the Hydralisk then going down. That is a brilliant decision by HyuN. I'm very curious to see if he makes a few more drones or if it's going to be nothing but Hydras. He has to know that he's in a phenomenal position and that Pigbaby's options are very, very limited after, you know, wasting 12 Zealots early on. There's almost nothing that can potentially be thrown at HyuN other than a very strong 2-base Immortal Sentry. That is exactly what's going to happen, and HyuN says, you know what, it's 56 drones, it's not that many, but it should be enough to produce the right amount of Hydras that I need. As we all know, as long as the force fields are not like out of this world, Hydras are going to do very, very well against Immortal Sentry armies.
Yeah, and HyuN is also creating more and more of a buffer by spreading that creep almost to Pigbaby's base. Pigbaby now moving out, tries to put a pylon down, but the creep is going to prevent that from happening. He's got 7 gateways now, 2 Immortals.
There's an observer on the way, guys. Even they know. This is not the right time and the place for the observer. It's going to help. It's going to be able to kill a couple of creep tumors, but from this point on, it will all come down to force fields. They're going to have to be absolutely phenomenal. You need to zone out the right amount of units to kill them and not actually lose anything by the units that he zones out. HyuN is already pre-positioning his army.
He's ready. Force fields go down, Time Warp goes down, but the units are already in range. A couple of sentries fall pretty quickly here. One more sentry dies, and the Immortals start taking some damage. Warp in from the Warp Prism, but there's not enough force fields to keep HyuN out. He's going to continue streaming units in here. Can Pigbaby hold this back? The Immortal, one Immortal goes down, second Immortal goes down. HyuN is going to hold this. He pushes up, takes the Warp Prism. GG! HyuN takes game number 1.
Great hold there by HyuN, great decision making as well to drop that Hydralisk then as soon as possible, realizing that like, hey, after an early game like this, there's no way this Protoss is going to go up to 3 bases. He's going to follow up with the Immortal Sentry, isn't he? He got it confirmed with the Overseer as well and decided making Hydras almost immediately. He squeezed in like 2 more drones, but he knew like, hey, normally I would love to go up to 65, 70 drones if this is a large map, but this is merry-go-round. He's going to attack me again. I need Hydralisk as soon as possible as they are going to shut Immortal Sentry down, and that's exactly what happened.
Yep. And right now, if you look over to your left, Kev, you can actually see HyuN checking his text document full of build orders. It's just pages upon pages of text. He knows exactly what he wants to do in this matchup, double checking his timings, triple checking them, making sure that everything goes perfect.
I'm still super surprised that Pigbaby decided to A, wait so long, and B, wipe in so many Zealots. I really think that he could have done a lot more with that opening. You know, if you open up with the 1 gas, fast expand, 1 gate, and then you spend your energy on warp gate technology, you're really going to have a sweet window with normally a few Stalkers. But I must say also compliments to HyuN for dropping both extractors at the 5-minute mark. Normally those extractors wouldn't have gone down before 5:30, there's no way. But HyuN knew what he was going to face, and he knew, hey, with slow links, there is absolutely no way in hell that I'm going to keep this base alive. I need roaches as soon as possible, and he got out just the right amount of units, even went back to drones. As soon as he's like, hey, I have 3 queens here, I have like 8 roaches, well, bring it on with your Zealots. I ain't afraid anymore.
Yeah, Pigbaby definitely, for some reason, he just didn't expect HyuN to be ready for that. Maybe he didn't notice the Overlord seeing the Zealots warp in, or he didn't see the Overlord that saw him only on 1 gas. HyuN with so little information, was able to make a very strong, precise call about what his opponent was doing. The Overlord goes into his base, 1 gas. All right, double gas, Roach Warren, I'm ready. And he was.
Yeah, excellent point. Just Pigbaby perhaps hoping that HyuN would read it somehow in the wrong way, but this is HyuN. He is the reigning champion of WCS America Premier League, and right now he's up 1-0 in the semi-final as we are currently being loaded in to our second map, which will be played on Habitation Station.
And in the top left-hand corner, the blue Protoss currently down 0-1. He is Pigbaby!
Going up against the reigning champ, the man who travels around the world, plays in every single StarCraft tournament out there. Give it up for Rockets HyuN.
And we see the pylon going down at the top of Pigbaby's ramp right now. A little bit of different placement from the last game.
Yeah, might actually get the gateway on top of the ramp, or it might just be a Nexus first even if he wants to go real crazy. We'll see where he takes this.
HyuN actually 9 scouting, or 10 scouting or something. A very early scout from HyuN for that drone. Just checking, making sure he's basically just wants to get a very accurate read on what his opponent is doing.
Two-player maps can be tricky, I guess, especially against pros players like Pigbaby. And HyuN perhaps worried about a forge opening. It's actually not going to be a forge opening, so I guess after HyuN sees this, he will follow it up with at least hatch first, and maybe even another hatchery, but that would be risky on Habitation Station. But
yeah, the rush distance here is quite short. He's going to get into the base. He's going to see the gateway and sees the assimilator. And from this point, HyuN will probably just send the drone home. Whatever additional information he can get, the Overlord will be able to provide because there's a long amount of time before Protoss will have anything that shoots up.
I kind of think that HyuN is going to go double hatch before pool once more. You know, this is a two-player map. He scouted it. He saw the gate first. We still see drones in the production tab now as well. No spawning pool yet. And, you know, HyuN has done this so often in the past where he's just like, all right, I sent my scouting drone home and that drone will morph into an additional hatchery. And once more, I'm going to have that very strong economy right off the get-go. And the ball is in your corner, Pigbaby. Do you want to let me get away with this? And can I mess around with all these drones? Or are you going to try to pressure me? But of course, if as a Protoss you decide to pressure this, you need to be damn sure that it's actually, you know, getting the job done. Because otherwise, you're down a base and you're down in tech.
Right. If you ever try and make an attack happen against a superior economy and you fail, you're going to end up in just a terrible position. So HyuN, as you said, going for 3 hatch before pool. Spawning pool now starts in HyuN's base. He's continuing to drone up. The Overlord is in a perfect place to see the second gas, how much energy is on the Nexus, and where the Chrono Boosts are being allocated. Right now,
Pigbaby, oh, I'm loving
expands
it.
To the gold.
Now that's one hell of a way to respond against the gasless Zerg that went double hatch before pool. Pigbaby, after scouting what he's up to, is just, all right, well, if you can pressure me, then I'm just going to go one gate first, expand at the gold, and this changes everything. And this changes all the timings as well that we know in this matchup. There are many ways the Pigbaby can take this. I'm kind of expecting him to warp in a robotics facility relatively soon, but of course he's still on one assimilator. Ooh, he's currently supply block, has to wait for that pilot to finish up, but that's okay, he can get away with that. He's going to be on a gold base soon. I think it's going to be like 2 more gates and then a robo. That's kind of what I think he's going to do.
Continuing to Chrono Boost Warp Gate here. He's actually put 2 Chrono Boosts on it, started it relatively early. So he may be planning to do actually a very similar build to the last game.
I love this shot, by the way, as we see a little bit of first-person action of both players. We see both of them just furiously clicking around. HyuN enjoying his beautiful sight of all the drones, while Pigbaby wants to know what else is out there other than his own main.
At this moment, Pigbaby puts down the pylon, doesn't even know there's a third hatch, and HyuN scouts it immediately. HyuN doing a good job of keeping his lings active on the map here, getting awareness, making sure that this probe is not able to plant that aggressive pylon. But meanwhile, Pigbaby actually only on 3 gateways this game instead of the 4 that we saw last.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a 3-gate into Robo. I think that's a very strong build. Those 3 gateways can still be annoying for HyuN. Might still force HyuN to make a few more units. I think that's the only Zealot actually that was blocking the ramp. Oh, never mind. He replaced the Zealot with a Sentry. He's fine for now. Of course, we know that there is no speed on the map either, but that's something that Pigbaby can know. So I was like, oh, that's risky.
Right. Pigbaby actually doesn't even know there's a third hatch. He doesn't know gases. And the pylon is... Oh, is it going to die? Yes, the pylon does die, so that's going to eliminate a lot of Pigbaby's aggressive options here. The warp-in now much farther away. There is no second probe to put down a pylon. But I don't think Pigbaby's really planning to commit a huge amount of units here.
Exactly, that's not necessarily the point. What he wants to do with this is he wants to freak HyuN out a little bit. And even though this was a really nice pickup for HyuN, HyuN doesn't know if there's another pylon out there, so he still is kind of forced to make some links, because if he just decides to make only drones and suddenly like 6 more Zealots show up, then we are the first ones to say like, oh my god, HyuN, you just didn't scout, what are you doing? So he was forced to make those links. Right now he realizes that that was the only pylon, but he goes back to droning. But still, I think Pigbaby is overall doing a pretty okay job in keeping HyuN at bay. And of course, you know, he's enjoying a very nice economy on his own because of that gold base. Because if we take a look at the income tab right now, we can see that it's relatively close. Pigbaby is mining more gas, HyuN slightly more minerals, but Pigbaby is doing this off 2 bases while HyuN is on 3. So pretty good scenario for our Korean Protoss.
Yeah, Pigbaby having invested a significantly less amount of money into his economy, utilizing the extra resources that the gold base provides, and he's going to go a Twilight Council and +1 attack, and also adding 4 additional gateways. So he's going up to 7 gateways. He's stopped probe production at 7. Meanwhile, HyuN using his Zerglings, trying to get an indication. Pigbaby, are you taking a 3rd? That's the big question for HyuN right now. And if you're not taking a 3rd, what are you doing? Those Lings actually see 3 gateways morphing in at the top of Pigbaby's ramp, but he still has no idea about the Twilight Council or the Forge.
Yeah, I think HyuN would have loved to see Pigbaby go up to 3 bases, and HyuN, of course, he missed the important tech buildings in the back of the base. But like, knowing how HyuN loves to play, he would have loved to see Pigbaby spread himself over that side of the map and force himself to defend such a wide open area all the way from, you know, between his natural and the gold, or maybe even eventually further down south. But the Pigbaby is like, nope, not going to do that, just gonna fire up Link, gonna fire up +1, maybe soon +2. He can, of course, still eventually decide to expand. He's only on 40 workers, and he stopped mining probes for quite a while. So actually, Pigbaby is just going to go all out with his 7-gate +1 Blink Stalker attack. And he will have, yes guys, it's coming, an Observer on the way, and of course a Warp Prism as well, if he wants to make a Warp Prism.
Oh, and Pigbaby totally overextends here, pushes on to creep. Big surround, a couple force fields lock out the roaches, but the Zerglings are still doing quite a bit of damage. I don't think a single sentry died here. Very good moment reaction time from Pigbaby, and HyuN is now on the defensive.
Actually, Crisis Management, but still, Pigbaby should be really careful. There are a lot of roaches about to spawn, and Blink Stalkers are good, but on creep, he's still gonna have a hard time against crazy amount of roaches and Zerglings. And behind this, he doesn't have great tech, he doesn't have a 3rd base, so he doesn't have the same amount of force fields anymore either. You know, as good as that was from Pigbaby, keeping those sentries alive, I still kind of like HyuN's position. Double Time Warp is going down, and this is really the fight where the Protoss player is gonna have to reign supreme, and he might be able to do it. Loses the Mothership Core though.
Yep, very aggressive pylon here, allows Pigbaby to warp in very close to the fight without that warp prism. Sentries are completely out of energy, but HyuN is running out of supply, tries to take the fight. 1 Queen does go down, more Lings streaming into the battle. Blink on cooldown on a lot of these Stalkers. Pigbaby doing a great job blinking back the low health Stalkers, and the sentries, 1 more sentry almost goes down, and now it looks like Pigbaby may be able to take this.
Yes, he is taking his supply, and he still has that Observer with his army, so HyuN having Burrow is not going to save him. Normally, you know, if you won't have an Observer, then it's terrible to play against burrowed roaches. Even when you have Blink, it's still going to be very hard to straight up win the game. But Pigbaby showing love to the unit that he loves the most, and it's very, very valuable in this situation.
Yeah, and here we see Pigbaby maneuvering back and forth, maintaining control of this position between the natural and the 3rd, but HyuN is coming in with all of his roaches. Burrows, there's an Observer right there, HyuN! And the Observer skirts around the battle, revealing all of the roaches. HyuN forced to unburrow, and Pigbaby continuing to blink micro.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Great game here by Pigbaby, showing us that he's also not afraid to play the economic game, at least early on, and then follow it up with a crazy 2-base timing, like we know that he's capable of. HyuN tried to muster out as many units as possible, but it's just not going to be enough. There are too many Blink Stalkers with +1 to deal with for HyuN, who's still producing 12 roaches at a time, which, you know, is pretty impressive. He's been keeping up the injects at least, but I don't think it's going to make the difference.
Yeah, right now HyuN has no drones at his third. Both players on 2-base mining, but Pigbaby mining off of a gold, giving him a substantial advantage. The third hatchery goes down for HyuN, and Pigbaby's going to push into the natural and force the final fight to happen. HyuN bringing everything he has to bear here. The Stalkers blinking back. HyuN trying desperately to defend this. Roach is coming in from behind, but it looks like Pigbaby has enough. The drone's actually mineral walking through to get to the back, attacking the Stalkers, diverting some of the fire. Can HyuN break through?
It's a really good effort by HyuN, but I think in the end of the day, there's just too much endurance in this Protoss army. As the forward blink goes down, and when you blink forward in the middle of a fight, you know what time it is as a Protoss. GG is called, and Pigbaby evens up the series after going for a one-gate fast expand to the gold base on Habitation Station.
Yeah, very, very well played, precise timing. Pigbaby had no transition behind that, and what was so cool about that is it makes the attack that much stronger. It takes a certain confidence to go with, you pick an attack and you're just going to go for it. It's either I win or I lose in this moment. I'm not getting +2, I'm not getting +1 armor behind this, I'm getting +1 weapons, I'm getting blink, and I'm going to make as many Stalkers as I can, and I'm going to kill you. And that's exactly what he did.
Yep, he definitely went all out with that attack. It was pretty much everything or nothing. If it goes wrong, he's trailing 0-2 in the best-of-5 series. Would have been terrible, but he had a good read on the game. I really felt it's something you can see that Pigbaby was clearly done before. Yes, that early game pressure didn't really work out, but it still got done what he was looking for. All he wanted to do is just slow HyuN down, make it harder for HyuN to tack up, force him to potentially drop an early Roach Warren again, force him to make a few more slow links than he would have wished for. And that's all that he wanted, and that's all that he got out of it as well. Following it up with that big blink Stalker attack, it's a little uncommon. Most of the time you still see people go for the good old Immortal Sentry. And that first engagement, it really looked like it was worth it for HyuN as he got so close to all the sentries, but he didn't kill any of them. He did force out a lot of force fields, but he just he didn't kill him.
Yeah, it looked like HyuN started his transition into full-on production just a little bit too late, and maybe that had something to do with that gold base, shifting the timing of that 7-gate +1 blink just to be a little bit earlier, a little bit stronger. HyuN, even though he caught his opponent off guard, wasn't able to get the damage in that he needed.
Our next map is going to be played on the way station. Now that's a very interesting map for PvZ, because if it is the long spawn locations, well, you're going to have a really hard time as a Protoss in general. Even though Pigbaby has shown us before in the round of 16 that he is not afraid to use Stargates in this matchup. Can go for a 1-gate fast expand into a Stargate, then eventually even get a second and third Stargate. Now in general, why these large maps are so scary is A, it's really hard for a Protoss to attack, and B, if you never attack, you know that Zerg players are going to be very rich and could eventually go for a massive Muta switch, which can be very hard to deal with as Protoss, unless you're Trap and you just like defend 40 Mutas with 1 Phoenix. But there are not many people out there who can do that, QXC.
Indeed, there are not, but we have the close spawns on way station. Kev, take it away.
Alrighty, over here. Our current reigning champion of WCS America, representing Rocket all around the world. Give it up for HyuN.
And in the top right-hand corner, not afraid to make those timings with impeccable blink micro and flawless observers, he is Pigbaby! Well, that's no good.
No, that's no good at all. Red alert. Pretty sure we should be alright though, guys. As long as the players don't pause, we should be more than fine. And it's like you said already, we don't have to worry about the long spawn locations. This is the closer one, which completely changes the entire dynamic of this map. Instead of this being one of the largest map pools in the game, suddenly it's still a relatively large map. I mean, the map is just as big as it was before.
The map is big, but the rush distance
is a lot smaller.
It's quite short on these
I think we're going to have a Forge opening over
and
here.
we're scouting.
Yeah, now this is very important, I think, for Pigbaby, that he doesn't show his probe to the Overlord, even though they're heading in the same direction.
Yeah, there's really no way to stop that.
Well, and HyuN is like, okay, cool. In that case, I might as well just get a spawning pool, because you'd rather be safe than sorry, right? And it's going to take a little while before my Overlord would see what I want to see.
Yep.
So Pigbaby is not going to be very successful over here. He could still decide to warp in a cannon, but in general, that's not recommended.
Yeah, and HyuN is on on top of this probe right away, sees that pylon, and actually the pylon's
What? The Overlord.
What?
He actually thought he was faking. He thought this was a fake. He thought the pylon wasn't real. Actually, no, never mind. What am I talking about? He, of course, has the spawning pool. I was really freaking out. But I'm still a little bit surprised that, because it's actually very easy to wall off that other pylon. If Pigbaby has money now, he can wipe in one more pylon. And this cannon is very, very well protected.
Where are the Zerglings from HyuN? The spawning pool's been finished. And there's no Zerglings being made here.
One of these cannons is going to finish, and like you said, with those late Zerglings, it's actually going to be really annoying for HyuN to deal with. He might be forced to cancel this hatch after all.
Yeah.
Or he's at least going to lose a lot of workers. He will get the probe, so that's something, but he's going to have to worry about 2 cannons. I think he's forced to cancel this.
That seems so strange. HyuN got that early pool, but when the pool finished, for some reason he just wasn't building the Zerglings, and now the Zerglings are out, but killing 2 cannons with 6 Zerglings, that's just out of reach. HyuN's going to immediately go for the counterattack, and Pigbaby has already started the cannon at home. He's got that gateway. He'll be able to put 1 pylon down and finish this wall until the cannon is up, and he's really not in any danger.
No, he's not going to be in any danger, and HyuN knows that as well. Of course, he still wants to try, because you never know, you might just get lucky, but he's already droning up behind this, so that kind of tells us that HyuN is also aware that he shouldn't be able to do a whole lot of damage with these Zerglings. I was really surprised he just morphed in that hatchery right next to that pylon, because that started to create, you know, like this epic little wall of where this one cannon would be very safe. Of course, you know, when you go spawning pool first, normally you shouldn't be that afraid of cannon rushes, so don't mind HyuN doing it, but you know, just getting a hatchery next to a finished pylon that's in a beautiful position to protect the cannon next to the mineral line, that is in general considered a little risky.
Yeah, and it's hard to say how that would have played out if HyuN had started his Zerglings as soon as the pool finishes, but either way, the past is in the past. We do not live there anymore. A second hatchery from HyuN in the 3rd base position, and the Queen is actually going she's going for a walk. Queen is strolling out to the natural there, and it's hard to say exactly. Oh, HyuN actually putting down a 3rd hatchery now in the 4th base spawning position, and Pigbaby sees that. Those are going to be some hard bases for HyuN to defend. They are so far away from his main base.
Yeah, exactly.
And Pigbaby will always have that stronghold in HyuN's natural until he deals with that. That's a free pylon to warp in from to launch an attack.
Yeah, eventually that pylon will be taken care of. I'm sure that HyuN is aware of the threat of what could potentially be thrown at him from that pylon. But the other point is super valid, QXC. These bases are incredibly far away from the main base. Imagine if HyuN needs like all of the units to defend against a certain 2-base attack from Pigbaby. Units that spawn in the main base, by the time that they reach the right bottom side of this map, you're like, it's a solid 20 seconds further. That's going to be incredibly tough. I don't know how Pigbaby wants to go at this yet, but once more, I feel that HyuN is giving him an open invitation to go for a very strong 2-base attack, and I think that's exactly what he will do.
And we do see
Stalker?
Stalker almost gets surrounded. And Pigbaby doing a little bit of micro here, but the Lings are taking a lot of damage from the Zealot. HyuN actually gets the full surround on the Zealot, takes it out, but the probe sneaks by.
Did he saw it though? Did HyuN see that probe?
Well, he's gonna see it with the watchtower? Yeah, so he should. He sees it now. He's going to... Wait, did he see it?
Yeah.
No, he saw it.
Guaranteed, he saw it, so a couple of Zerglings are heading in that direction. Still though, that doesn't mean that HyuN's out of the woods, because sometimes even when you see it, it's still going to be very hard to deal with it. 3 more gateways are being added, plus 1 is about to finish up. HyuN does not have anything. He does not have a Roach Warren, he does not have Zergling speed. He's going to start producing roaches now, but even when he has roaches, it's going to be really hard to deal with stock. Okay, it's 6 more gates. This is going to be a really difficult hold for HyuN regardless.
This is probably going to... Well, it's actually 7 gates now, and Pigbaby is going to tailor his composition against what he sees HyuN make. The more Lings that HyuN makes, the more Zealots Pigbaby is going to make, the heavier the Roach count, the more Stalkers he's going to make. And the big deal here is that HyuN is not going to get...
That pylon in the natural, like HyuN is so occupied with everything that's going on the right side of this map, and I don't blame him, because that's normally where you expect things to happen. But there is still that pylon in the natural, and HyuN I think he's going to ignore it for now. So he just decided to get a spine crawl in his mineral line in the main base. He's like, you know what? I'm quite worried about that, but I don't really want to deal with it right now. Yeah. But we see 4 Stalkers being wiped in. HyuN is going to be supply blocked. He's also trying to get Burrow, but more Overlords are exposed as well. Oh my, that's terrible news for HyuN.
And that forward pylon
but these
now...
Stalkers could get trapped.
Oh,
Is he gonna get this
they
round up?
almost get surrounded there, but they do get away. The security of those 2 photon cannons are going to give HyuN a great place to launch a forward attack from, warping pylons into HyuN's natural right now. Pigbaby continuing to push up into the ramp, and HyuN needs so many units at this moment.
Yeah, this is going to be extremely difficult for HyuN. By the time that he has Burrow, that's something they can sort of do something with, because there is no robotics facility, which means, unfortunately for everyone in the building, no observers, but that doesn't change the fact that there are so many Stalkers in HyuN's main base. HyuN was so occupied with everything else that he did not realize how serious the threat was of that pylon, which is something that every Zerg has been in this position so many times, and you're supposed to take care of that pylon eventually.
And I think HyuN's time on Way Station is running out here, but he is pulling all of his drones. Lings and Roaches are streaming in, but Pigbaby's army is just so big right now. 7 gateways, all he's warping in are Stalkers. There's no additional upgrades, there's no transition here. This is it for Pigbaby. He's gonna make as many Stalkers as it takes, and HyuN is quickly running out of time.
Pigbaby definitely a little more straightforward when it comes to PvZ than when it is PvT. He was taking his time yesterday, playing very passive, but in this matchup it's a whole different ballgame. We see a very aggressive Pigbaby that just reads the game as it goes, and he's like, you know what, if I make this and this attack, I should be in a pretty good position, and that's exactly what's happening over here. Of course, HyuN is such an important series, you don't want to leave too early, and he's trying to get as many Roaches out as possible, but with no more main base, and even the 2 bases that he has are so far away from each other. He has nothing but a couple of unupgraded Roaches, which do have Burrow, but that's about it.
Yeah, and it's very hard for him to even micro with Burrow right now because there's so many Stalkers, he can just one-shot Roaches. In order to utilize that Burrow micro, you need enough Roaches that they're not just dying immediately. Now Pigbaby not taking any breathing time at all. He's going to move straight over to this other base from HyuN, start dealing damage. HyuN's forces are just getting picked off at every corner. More drones coming off the line. GG! Pigbaby takes game number 3 and leads the series 2-1.
This young Protoss just keeps on going forward. Now just 1 map win away from making it to the WCS America Grand Finals, where Red Bull's Bomber is waiting for him. He's not there just yet, but so far, QXC, he looks really solid. His game plan looks very simple. He just sees what's going on in the game. He's like, you know what, I think I should be doing this. And he does it, and he wins with it.
Yeah. Someone once said that perfection is not when there is nothing left to add, but nothing left to take away. And Pigbaby is playing a style that looks almost perfect. He takes away, trims out all the fat in his builds and makes them lean and clean, and they are a killing machine. HyuN definitely on his back foot right now, feeling perhaps a little off balance.
Yeah, it has to feel, I mean, it's never nice to play series, especially because I don't think that HyuN can be like overly critical. He's probably not like, man, I'm really getting outplayed. This guy is just like way better than me. He's all over the place. It's a couple of very simple things. I mean, you can ask any North American Zerg out there that they get cannon rushed a lot on the North American ladder. That, you know, if that happens in your natural, first of all, like morphing your hatch right next to the pylon, that's a little risky. And after that, he was definitely behind, but then you still have to worry about that because if it wasn't for that pylon in natural, which, like you mentioned, you're like quite worried about it, I was pretty confident that HyuN was going to take care of it. But with all the bases being so far away and most of the activity was going on the right side of the map, you know, with that Stalker, the Zalo, that one probe that's trying to get pylons, HyuN was really occupied with that. And he's like, you know what? I don't want to have to worry about that pylon now. I'll just get 1 spine crawler in my main. That should be all right. But his bases were still incredibly far away from each other that as soon as Pigbaby started warping in the natural, like, yeah, I'm going to send all my reinforcements there, but it took half an hour before the slow links to arrive, and for a moment, it's like, is he able to get the first 4 Stalkers? No, he's not. Then he lost the Overlords. It went from bad to worse.
Yeah, Pigbaby doing a great job of presenting 2 threats. One was in the natural with that constant pylon cannon, the passive threat that becomes more and more important as the game progresses, and on the other side of the map, just moving around, putting down pylons, trying to be aggressive, and if he could have gotten pylons on both sides of the map, because that attack could have launched from either side.
Yeah, it was dangerous, and I'm very curious to see what Nate has to say about this, as I know Nate loves himself some PvZ, so Nate, take it away.
Alrighty, you know how much I love my photon cannons. That may be the only build order I know when it comes to playing Protoss versus Zerg. But it's been a tough series for HyuN. 2 strong builds in a row from the Protoss player Pigbaby. Well, after that first game, HyuN showed some signs of brilliance in the first map. He did a great job holding off the initial Zealot attack, but he really needs to step it up and try to get back towards that later stage, past this 2 base mark where Pigbaby seems to be having a lot of power. So the moment that I want to take a look at is from that merry-go-round game that HyuN was able to take, because I feel like this is where you want to be able to get as a Zerg player. HyuN, he's a guy that, as good as he is with Roaches, Hydras are another core unit that he loves to use, and it's these positional plays where HyuN is able to take this first map, despite the advantage he had earlier from defending, still required really good execution to hold on to. And you can see he uses the creep to pre-spread his forces and make these force fields basically worthless. They don't do much in the way of keeping more than a few Hydralisks at a time away from the Immortals. And it's with this that HyuN's able to get close enough to fight these units head-to-head, because if you can reach a better composition and fight on creep as a Zerg player, particularly Hydralisks, the attack output, the damage per second that they can release onto these gateway units is usually enough to stop these early mid-game attacks. And most, if I'd say all of the attacks that Pigbaby has been able to defeat HyuN with so far in this series have come from these early gateway-based attacks, be it the Blink Stalkers or, as we saw in that last game, just straight-up Stalkers. HyuN really needs to get back into his rhythm. He is on that lair tech. He wants to get his Hydralisks out, and he wants to be in a position where he can fight with a composition that can trade favorably on creep. As good as Roaches are, when you're playing against somebody like Pigbaby, he's clearly shown his Blink Micro is a little bit too good to hold off with normal engagement. So that's all the analysis that we've got here. Back to you, Roddy, my Protoss expert friend.
Thank you very much, Nate, and very well said. As that was game number 1 on merry-go-round, that feels like ages ago, as game 2 and 3 definitely went pretty decisively to Pigbaby. However, QXC, next map is going to be Alterzim Stronghold. We talked about Waystation being large. This is next level large.
Yeah, no map has ever come close to matching the size and power of Alterzim Stronghold, and for that reason, it is almost never played. But in a best of 5, the vetoes were thrown elsewhere. We find ourselves on this map in game number 4. This could be the final game for HyuN.
It really could, and it's so fun. Like, I actually really enjoy watching games on this map, and a lot of Protoss players have very mixed opinions about this map as well. Some like it, and some absolutely hate it. Even amongst the pros, it's pretty split. However, we're about to find out how much this guy likes it, as he has currently just 1 map win away from making it to the finals of a Premier tournament for the first time in his career. Give it up for Pigbaby.
I know a lot of you are fans of this guy. He's currently down 1-2. He needs your support. Show him what you got. It's unstoppable.
Now, we can talk about Alterzim for days. Like I said, even the pros have very mixed opinions about this map. And especially, it's really important to think about how this series has played out so far. Pigbaby has shown us that he loves being aggressive. And this is also a map where Zerg players are often really greedy. You know, they open 3 hatch before pool, delay their extractors a bit. And then sometimes with crazy stuff, as even a simple 4-gate, and this sounds really silly, but when Jim can 4-gate J-Dong successfully on this map, you know that it's pretty legit if the circumstances are correct for it. And that's definitely something that HyuN has to worry about. But at the same time, this is also a map where Pigbaby might as well just bust out a much more passive style. Goes for Nexus first into 1-gate Stargate, goes up to 3 bases, and then adds 2 more Stargates, because he's like, hey, as long as you don't mirror rush me and I'm not ready for it, I'm not going to die. It's really hard to predict how Pigbaby is going to play over here.
And Pigbaby actually going for the greediest Protoss versus Zerg build that he's got, straight into Nexus first. Has that pylon at the top of his ramp. He'll be able to take advantage of the fact that there's only 1 entrance to both his main and his natural, and defend both of these Nexuses with a very minimal amount of units. Meanwhile, we have HyuN, early drone scout, hatch in his natural, and we'll have to see if he's going to go for that 3rd hatch. and Pigbaby has now put down a forge.
Yeah, I'm pretty damn sure that HyuN will go to a double hatch before pooling. Like, if you do it on maps like Habitation, if you do it on Merry-Go-Round, you're definitely going to do it on Alterzim Stronghold. I'm a little bit surprised to see the forge follow-up by Pigbaby, which in my opinion tells us that, you know, either it's a +1 gateway stop, but it could also him just be preparing for a much longer game, and that he decides to play with a Stargate this time. We'll see where he takes it.
Yeah, and in a lot of the other series, we saw HyuN play very unpredictable.
Wow, he's even getting a photo cannon.
Yeah, this is actually Pigbaby's response to HyuN's tendencies to mix things up. He's really unsure. He's like, well, you know, Nexus first, yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't think you're 6 pooling me, but I really don't know beyond that. You're HyuN. You've got a wide range of builds, and I'm not taking any chances here. So we're going to go for that fast forge, fast cannon. We're just going to transition normally. And Pigbaby is just now scouting cross. So he's not going to see HyuN's base for a long time.
Now this probe looks really innocent for now, you know. He's just checking around, doing his thing, trying to find some creep here and there. But if this probe suddenly stops somewhere in the middle of the map, now that would be a massive tell that Pigbaby wants to go for some +1 gateway stuff. Because, you know, a good old 7-gate +1, even without blink, without anything, can work on this map. Because this is just such a large map that it almost screams Zerg greed. And then if you try to go all out with a crazy gateway attack like that, which is not very inspiring or inspirational, but it doesn't matter, because of course the only thing that matters for Pigbaby is winning. However, I had a Stargate feeling in the start of the game, and I still kind of feel that this is the game where we're going to see a much more passive Pigbaby, and I think it will be a 1-gate Stargate build, where eventually he goes up to 3 bases and then adds 2 more.
Nope, the Stargate does go down, and HyuN scouts it literally the instant it starts, so HyuN has a ton of reaction time. He knows exactly what's going on here. Pigbaby, meanwhile, his probe is being chased all the way back to his base. Besides seeing creep outside of HyuN's base, he does not have 100% confirmation that HyuN is on 3 bases. He can probably assume, but he does not know for sure, and he has no idea about the follow-up here. What HyuN's gas timings are, whether he's going for harder drone count, everything like that, Pigbaby is very much in the dark.
Yeah, of course, his Phoenixes, if he decides to make those, he can also open up with an Oracle. We'll get that information regardless. We'll see. I'm actually really curious if it's going to be an Oracle or a Phoenix, because there is another build that's possible. Okay, it's a Phoenix. Now, I've seen, I think Zest do this build a couple of times, which is really sick. They get +1, they make a Phoenix. Oh, actually, I think he did it without +1. But either way, like, the Phoenixes can kill the Overlords. Then the robotics facility gets warped in, and then obviously it's impossible for the Zerg to scout the robotics facility that's going to produce a warp prism. And then like 6 more gateways will be warped in, and then before you know it, there are like 7 Zealots being warped in your main base at the same time. Now this is a really risky call. I could be completely wrong. It could also just be Colossus, but I kind of have the feeling that we might see soon a big... Actually, he's taking all the gases in his natural. It could just be a passive style from Pigbaby. Maybe it's just for Colossus trying to secure 3 bases.
Yeah, and
we don't have to worry.
These early Phoenixes are going to give Pigbaby a very big advantage in map control and map awareness, as he systematically removes any and all Overlords he finds. One Overlord here does get spotted. There's a...
Take! Dennis, was ist das dann, ey? That's what the Germans would say.
And one more Overlord does go down. HyuN now keeping... He's got one Zergling at the 3rd to check for the 3rd Nexus, another Zergling right down the ramp to see for any units moving out, and Pigbaby with no probe on the map, but he has started his transition.
Yeah, this is really interesting because it's sort of an in-between with what I thought he could potentially do and what he's actually doing. This warp prism will make his way across the map completely undetected. However, it's a 4 gateways only so far, and he's also taking both simulators in his natural, so I don't think that he's gonna make 4 more gates now and try to straight up win the game, but needless to say, he wants to do damage with this. There is an observer on the way as well, guys. How pumped are you?
And one queen does fall, giving Pigbaby just that slight advantage here. The second queen, the queen's getting a little bit too far away from the Spore Crawler, but Pigbaby not quite paying attention here. One Phoenix almost falls, and a huge amount of Zerglings coming out from HyuN. 18 more in production. Pigbaby does see that. I'm not sure what the plan here for HyuN is. Without a Baneling Nest, he's not busting up the ramp, so it's more of a 3rd denial and just general map control thing.
Exactly, he just wants to deny the third, but he's going to need those Zerglings regardless, because look at the amount of Zealots that are being wiped in on top of this creep. So HyuN is going to be very happy with himself, regardless that he made that many Zerglings. However, these are still +1 Zealots, guys, and if those +1 Zealots... actually, it's 50 links against 8 Zealots. It shouldn't really matter. +1 Zealots are good, but they shouldn't 5-1 outnumber Zerglings.
Yeah, and I think HyuN did a really good job of predicting the possibility of this. Actually, a small group of Zerglings do engage too early now, and HyuN taking a lot of damage. All the queens get picked up. The Zerglings need to come home.
Oh my god, HyuN has already lost 20 of his Zerglings. I'm starting to get a little bit worried. Maybe +1 Zealots are that good, as all of these Zerglings are dying, all of the queens are dying, and there is nothing else. There is no Roach Warren on the map. It is nothing but unupgraded Zerglings for this defense so far.
And the Zerglings are streaming out of his base, but the Zealots are just unstoppable. There's nothing can kill them. All the queens are dead, more Zerglings coming out, but Pigbaby's army is just reigning supreme.
Yeah, these Zealots are not going to have the time of their life. +1 and +1 armor is about to finish up though, so then finally, if HyuN can somehow squeeze out enough Zerglings, he will be able to perhaps stabilize, but he has lost all of his queens, and I don't like his stack building at all. Like, even if he survives, he has a Spire. You know, what are you going to do with a Spire against like 9 Phoenixes?
You're not going to do anything.
You're going to sell it, you know, sell it for 10 minerals and 2 gas. It's still a better investment. I'm really worried. I think this is it. I think Pigbaby is gonna make it to the finals of a StarCraft 2 tournament, a premier StarCraft 2 tournament, in the first time in his StarCraft 2 career.
Pigbaby just keeps moving up the ramp, forcing fight after fight, not giving HyuN enough time to breathe, and it looks like this is his moment. We'll have to wait and see. HyuN trying to pull out everything he's got, but the supplies are so far apart. HyuN, you just don't have any units left. Pigbaby continuing to push in, kills another queen. HyuN trying to inject. HyuN looks like he can't believe it. He cannot believe that he lost.
Mutalisk are on the production tab, but this is a sad day to be a Mutalisk. You don't want to spawn with like Zealots in your main and Phoenixes protecting them as well. There is still a Spore Crawler. The Mutas are going to hog this Spore as tight as they can, but even that Spore will not save the Mutas and will not save HyuN. It is set in stone that we are going to have a new champion for WCS America. Is it going to be Pigbaby or is it going to be Red Bull's Bomber?
And Pigbaby again hitting such a precise timing. He knew exactly what he was aiming for. He didn't take any unnecessary risks. He didn't really worry about parts of the game where he was a little bit in the dark. He just waited until he had his timing, and he made it work. And he made it work in decisive fashion. HyuN it just seemed like he didn't know what was happening that game. For one reason or another, he just didn't get the read that he needed to make that defense possible.
Yeah, it's kind of the power of this build, because of course the Phoenixes kill the Overlord, which is the only scouting tool that Zerg has in that phase in the game. But the cool thing is that this was not an all-in by Pigbaby, not by any means. He had over 50 probes, he had a robotics bay on the way. Does he want to deal damage with this? Yeah, of course he wants to do damage, because it's still quite an investment. He wipes in a lot of Zealots, but these Phoenixes will be useful throughout the entirety of this game, because Mutalisk are scary on Alterzim. So he has that going for himself, and he's going to force out a lot of units regardless, and he's going to scout. Well, this was one of those things where Pigbaby is so good at StarCraft that he accidentally just won the game. He didn't even want to do that, QXE. He wanted to show the world that he could macro, but he's just too good. It's first world problems as a Protoss player.
I think we have a different definition of what macro involves.
This was not an all-in though, by no means.
7 gateways?
He has 4 gateways.
What? Didn't he have 7?
No, it was 4 gateways and a robotics bay and over 50 probes.
Well, I'm going to open the replay up because I'm really curious now, but I think as a Protoss player, Rotterdam,
yes?
You have a different idea of what an all-in is.
No, well, okay, we can talk about it. If you want to do this with 8 gates and you don't make a robotics facility and don't make a robo bay, then I agree with you.
There's a spectrum of all-ins. Once you cross over the line, you can be more and more all-in, but you're still...
No. Well, I mean, let's agree to disagree, all right?
All right, that's fine. That's fine.
I think that is a beautiful way to sum it all up. But I'm also very curious about is what Pigbaby has to say about that final game. And perhaps Josh can even ask us the question that's keeping us so busy. So Josh, take it away.
Thank you, gentlemen. Pigbaby, you are impressing everyone at this tournament. First question, merry-go-round, didn't go in your favor. What did you do in order to turn it around against HyuN? Did you change anything mentally, anything that came to your preparation?
모두를 놀랍게 지금 WCS 아메리카에서 승승장구를 하고 계시는데 첫 번째 이제 회전목마에서는 일단 패를 하나 하고 시작하셨는데 이제 두 번째 경기부터는 어떤 마음가짐으로 임하셔서 패승승이 된지 말씀해 주시죠.
일단 제가 회전목마 빌드를 올라오면서 좀 많이 써가지고 석현이 형이 잘 막으셔가지고 당황했는데 그래도 두 번째 판부터는 안 쓴 빌드 많아서 자신감 있게 했어요.
So on merry-go-round, I use the same build that I've used overall throughout this tournament. So I kind of, in a way, expected HyuN would stomp it easily, and it happened. So from the second match on, I pulled out all the build cards that I had saved up, so I was quite confident, and yeah, that's how I started from the second up.
This is your first time ever coming to America. Did you ever imagine a crowd like this will be cheering for you?
미국에 머리털 나시고 아예 처음 오신 건데 이렇게 경기까지 하러 오셔서 이렇게 많은 현장에 와 있는 팬들한테서 응원을 받으면서 경기할 거라고 생각을 하셨나요?
원래 한국에서 한국보다 뭔가 여기 현장감이 더 있는 것 같고 환호성도 좀 더 큰 것 같아요.
I wasn't too sure what to expect coming to America to play in the tournament. Once I got here, the passion and the loud cheers from the American fans on the set were just unbelievable.
Pigbaby, your run through this tournament has earned a lot of fans. Before you prepare for the finals, is there anything you would like to say to your fans?
이번 WCS 아메리카 시즌 참가하시면서 정말 많은 팬들을 이제 새롭게 확보하게 되셨는데 결승전 시작하기 전에 이제 마지막 팬들에게 한 말씀 해주시죠.
이렇게 오자마자 결승전 와서 너무 좋고 결승전에서도 좋은 모습 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
It's mind-blowing that in the first try I made it up to the finals, and I'll try to show you the same winning streak that I've been showing you in the finals as well.
Congratulations once again, making it to the finals, Pigbaby. We're going to take a break as we set up the WCS America Season 2 Premier League Finals, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned.